Hello, everyone, and welcome to the writers class. Yes, I got to say all of that not super fast because Winona is not in the cave today. Okay, let me just soak that in a little bit. Okay, I do miss her though. I miss her already. I'm Jade though, I guess your host for today. And that's about all the banter I have in me. Like, unless y'all want to talk about coffee. Anyone for coffee? Talk? Okay, no one said anything. So we'll just move on to We Wrote Literary Life Guides with hot poetry. And I thought divorce was bad with other life lessons. And I thought being grown up was easy if only I would meet a memoir in verse. Foreign Coffee and Widow's web series available where you get your audiobooks. You can find out everything your ladies are doing, including one of my favorite books. Yes, we're not supposed to have favorites, but I do have a favorite. It is And I Thought I Did My Journey Alone on www.andithoughladies.com. Okay, one more time. www.andithoughladies.com. But y'all aren't here to hear about me talk about our books and stuff. You're here to hear from my wonderful guests. Wonderful guests, would you like to introduce yourself?
I would. I'm Pamela Stockwell, and I am the author of A Boundless Place. And one thing that people usually don't know about me is that I grew up in a trailer park in South Carolina. I'm trailer trash. But now it's in my book. So it's all about the whole neighborhood is a trailer neighborhood. So it's not a secret anymore.
I love how you're like, it's not a secret anymore. So what inspired you to write this book? And can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, well, I've always wanted to be a writer, and I was writing a little bit in my 20s, but I got sidetracked by children. And I know people who write with young children, but I didn't. So once when my oldest daughter started driving and freed her, because she's like the busiest person on the planet. Once she started driving and I had some free time, I started writing. And my idea, the neighborhood that I lived in when I was a child, it was a trailer park neighborhood, and it was across from an Air Force base. So it was very transitional. And so people would move in and out, in and out, in and out. And I had an idea that I was going to have this little girl living in one house, and then she would meet the people across the street from her as they moved in and moved out. And she would learn things from them as she grew up and everything. But the first person I moved in there was named Violet. And I liked her so much, I didn't have her move back out. She just stayed and she became the main character. But it was kind of like a little walk down memory lane a lot. You know, it's definitely not autobiographical, but it's people who grew up with me were like, oh yeah, I remember that. I knew that. So.
Well, that's amazing. And then you came back to writing. So did you always love writing and thought like, when you were younger, like I'm going to grow up and I'm going to be a famous author? Or
that's exactly it. So yeah, just a dream delayed.
Well, dream delayed, but still done. So that's like, it's never too late, y'all. Like,
that's what I was going to say. I was in my mid 50s when I started this book, and I'm in my late 50s now. So yeah, it's never too late.
Yes, absolutely. It's never too late, y'all. So you were talking a little bit about before we got on about this fun thing that you do. Can you explain to us what it is?
Yes. So some of us writers, I don't know if you've ever done this, but I had a writers group back in South Carolina where I grew up, and then I moved to New Jersey and didn't get one here. But when I started writing, I started looking at writers groups in the area. And so I joined an in-person one, but it wasn't like we had a critique group. But the one here was that you just met at a cafe and wrote together. And it was kind of weird, but it was oddly productive. And I was a member of that for 2 or 3 years before the pandemic. And then the pandemic happened. And I had also joined the Women Fiction Writers Association. And I've always been kind of on the fringes of it, and I learned a little bit from it, but it wasn't during the pandemic. One of the women, Michelle Montgomery, started doing Zoom write-ins for the members. She did every day of the week and on Wednesdays twice. And that went on for a year or two. And actually it's still going on, so it's been 2 years. And so we get together on Zoom, and it can be as few as like 9 of us, as many as 25 of us. And we kind of just give a real quick check-in, like, this is what I plan to do. And then we turn off our cameras. Some people leave them on, but we stay there and we write. And for 45 minutes, and then we check in again, and then 45 minutes again at the end. So.
Wow. So that is amazing. That's like a 2-block, excuse me, allergy season, y'all.
Yeah, I hear that.
So a two block I would think. So do you do it every day and like
I
be super productive?
Yeah, it's very super productive. I have gone through phases where I wasn't doing it quite as much, especially when my book came out, because I was doing a lot of marketing and stuff like that, which I don't find nearly as fun as writing. And but Right now, I have a deadline of finishing my third draft of my second novel before Tuesday. And so I've been going to the write-ins pretty much every day.
Wow, and you still made time to come on in and talk to us about writing. So I thank you so much. So I'm gonna hurry up and like get this done.
You know what? It's 3:00 in the afternoon here, so it's kind of, I'm shot by now. So
all right, so wow, the question just went right out of my head. Let's talk about marketing the book. Like, did you know you had to market before you went on your journey for publishing, and what was that journey for publishing?
I did. That's one of the things I've learned through WFWA and talking to writers who have been published, is that even if you got with a big publishing house, you end up marketing so much of it yourself. They don't, unless you're already a name, they don't give you anything. Mm-hmm. So I had been querying agents, and I made the decision right before the pandemic started. And my husband was very supportive. He loved my novel, which is not his genre at all, but he loved it. So he's like, we got to get this out there. We got to get this out there. So I started looking into self-publishing, and then the pandemic hit, and I was just like, this is a bad time to try to put money into something that I don't know where it's going to go. So I just put that on hold. But so then I learned more and more as I'm in WFWA. I learned about hybrid publishing and small independent publishers, and I started applying to those, querying those. And I had one offer me a contract a year ago, almost exactly. And I am so happy with my decision, because I don't have time to sit around and wait for an agent to pick up my book and then to sell my book. And so and they've been really wonderful to work with. It's 1016 Press, and they've been really, really just, and I have so much say on my cover, the inside, how the chapters are treated, and which I didn't expect. So back to the marketing. So yeah, I kind of knew that was going to happen no matter what. And I wasn't looking forward to it, but I actually had a huge amount of help from my oldest daughter, who's 22 and just graduated college, and she's really good at that stuff. So it's been a blessing to have her help me with it.
Okay, I was going to talk a little bit about your marketing plan, but apparently it was your daughter's marketing plan.
It was my daughter's marketing plan.
A little bit about your marketing plan and how you went about implementing it.
I still don't have much of one, because I still do hate it. One of the things was to get me established more. I was on Facebook, but I wasn't on Instagram. So to get me more involved in Instagram. And also I have an author page on Facebook, and try to get those two integrated, and try to do more posts and more interactions and everything like that every day. I'm tied into Amazon right now, so I can't do too many promotional things. I'm planning to run a promotion in April, and I've been a little bit slow getting my arms wrapped around stuff. And I do have one of the book tours coming out, the book bloggers tours that they do. I finally understood what that meant. So I have that coming out in July, and hopefully that will give me a big boost.
So can you explain to us, and then I promise I'll get off of it. What is a book blogger tour?
That is a good question, because that's one I didn't understand for a long time. So they have people who will actually coordinate getting your book out to a whole bunch of bloggers, and they have, like, I don't even know how many they will have in their stable, for lack of a better term, their list of contacts, and they'll put the book out there, and they actually pitch it to them and say, would you be interested in reviewing this book on your blog? And so they'll get answers back, and you pay for that. You're guaranteed a certain number of bloggers who are going to read your book and blog about it and get the word out there. So, and they're posting about it on social media even now, like, this is coming up, it's not until July, but I got this book. So it's kind of cool.
That's fabulous. Okay, so when I ask for 3 pieces of advice that we would give any new author out here that is trying to just make a way or write their first book, what would you say to them? First,
don't ever give up. If you really want to write, just keep writing, and don't expect to make $1 million. If it happens, that's wonderful, but most of us are not. I know one working writer, I think, and she does ghostwriting on the side as well. But if you're in it for the joy of writing, which is what I'm in it for, I just love making the characters. Just keep doing it and take workshops. I think I'm a natural good writer. I hate to pat myself on the back, but I love it. So therefore, I think sometimes when you love things, it seems easier to you. But I've taken workshops and learned, things that I didn't know. So that's helpful. And another thing would be, I had a thought in my head and it just went out. Drafts. When I first started querying agents back several years ago, I was sending out like a first draft. I'm like, no wonder nobody picked me up then. But and this was on a book. This is not even on this book. It's a book I put in a drawer and say, you know what, that's not really working anyway. But do many drafts. Do not think your first draft is the end, because it's, I don't know how many drafts I had of A Boundless Place. I didn't count. I'm counting this one that I'm working on now, but it was a bunch. And then, you send it out to some beta readers who are your first line of readers who will suggest to you, this isn't really working and this character doesn't seem like she should be that young or whatever. And then I hire a developmental editor, and which I didn't want to do because I felt like I don't want to spend that money. But oh my gosh, she was so helpful. So helpful. She pointed things out, and some things I was like, I don't want to take that out. And I put it aside for a little while. And I'm like, she's right. So my book is a much better book because of her. So.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree with all of these steps, and absolutely, I said it before and I'll say it again. A beta reader saved our life on our first book, and I thought a divorce was bad with other life lessons. Literally, she's the one that thought of lessons, life lessons. So we wouldn't have this way wouldn't work without her suggestion. So yes, beta readers are very important. Developmental editors, can't say enough about them. Amazing people. They'll make you angry and sad and cry, but they're amazing people, and they will get your book straight even if you don't want to. Like, you'll be kicking and screaming and crying the whole way, but it's a better book.
It is a better book. It is a better book. I never thought that I thought a book was an independent effort. I had no idea how many people, like, it takes a village to write a book.
Absolutely. It's a lot of hands on it. And I was going to say, apparently you had an editor that got your book. So that's the caveat to a developmental editor. Work with someone that gets your vision. Because if you don't, then maybe your book will be your vision. Yeah. So that's the caveat. But yeah, thank you so much for taking this time out, even though you have a third draft due on Monday, to come and hang out with us. And I appreciate it very much. Tell people where they can find out more about you and follow you on your social medias that you work so hard to cultivate.
Pamela Stockwell, everything. PamelaStockwell.com, Pamela Stockwell author, did I just say that? Author on Twitter, and Pamela Stockwell on Facebook. So
fabulous. Thank you.
And I want to give one more shout out to the write-ins, if I have a minute. One of so we don't chat a whole lot because we're there to write, but at the end, we'll ask questions, or somebody will update, like, oh my gosh, I had this happen today. It was horrible, something personal. And in there, I got to know a woman named Kelly, who I knew had end-stage kidney disease. Well, I learned that. And then I learned how bad it was. And I learned she was waiting for a kidney. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's, and she's such a sweet, witty, fun person. Not that somebody who's not all that should be suffering from kidney disease, but I just felt so bad for her. And then in March of last year, she put out a post saying she was looking for someone to become a kidney donor for her. And I'm driving along to South Carolina. I'm not driving, I'm sitting in the passenger seat, but my oldest daughter was driving, and I was just catching up on Facebook because we drove down to South Carolina. And I saw her post, and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna apply. And I figured I was 50, how old was I? 58. And I figured there's no way, 58 things start falling apart. So there's no way I'm gonna make it through. But I made it through. And on Tuesday, I'm donating my kidney to her. And we've never met in person. We met on Zoom write-ins. So
that is an amazing, fabulous story. And thank you so much for sharing that. As you see, y'all, getting together in writers groups could literally help save your life. And also you meet really wonderful people. And so this is why we need writing communities, because as many guests on our show have said, that there are problems unique to writers and to authors that nobody else will get. Like, you'll be like, oh my goodness, I have 85 edits to do, and everyone's just like, get it done. Yep. And your writer friends are like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like,
yeah,
did you really like that one? And you're like, yes, I did. And they were like, well, you're gonna have to let it go. But commiserate with me. Or I got my first bad review, and everyone's like, oh, but you have all these bad reviews. You're just like, but this is my first bad one. Like, it's sad. I'm sad.
Yeah, you're right. There's just certain things that other people don't get,
Right. And so, y'all, it will literally save your life. tell us one more time where you can find out more about you and buy your book.
PamelaStockwell.com. And if you buy from the 1016 button, I will autograph it for you if you leave a note in the fill out form. So
thank you so much for coming on the show today. We really appreciate it. And I guess I'll go ahead and wrap us up. You can find out everything your ladies are doing on www.andithoughladies.com. While you're there, take a moment, go to the middle of the page and see the charities that we probably support. Maybe you can support them also. We thank you in advance for that. And just remember, y'all, wisdom is all around you if you're open to finding it and accepting it. So peace and love from Jade and the missing Winona. Bye-bye. Oh yeah, thanks for listening.